Welcome to the KBB From the Tap podcast. I'm executive editor Chelsea Butler. This week, designer Paula Kennedy of Seattle-based Timeless Kitchen Designs and I delve into how to stay creative in busy times and slowdowns. Be sure to subscribe to KBB's YouTube channel and click the like button on our videos. You can also subscribe to the From the Tap podcasts on such apps as Apple, Spotify, Pandora, and Google Podcasts. And please feel free to leave a review. Welcome, Paula, and thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you, Chelsea. Hello, everyone. It's so good to be here. My favorite topic.
So that said, just, before we get started on the topic, tell us a little bit about how business is going for you. Like, be candid. How's everything going?
And that's a loaded question these days. And I'm grateful for the chance to, like you said, be candid and let's, have real talk. And it's really fascinating because I have really been in burnout for the last couple years. And I think a lot of us are afraid to talk about that because when the pandemic happened, we're pretty blessed for our industry to be so busy right now because not every industry can say that, right? So I felt like I can't say that I'm in burnout. I can't say that I'm stressed or that I've got too much on my plate because I should be grateful and I shouldn't be complaining, right? And every time you ask everybody, like, oh yeah, business is great, everything's awesome, But I'm on too many of the Facebook groups for interior designers and kitchen and bath designers and industry professionals, and then we're all saying, I even heard somebody say, have you checked in with your local interior designer recently? And when we do get real with each other and talk about how stressed out we are and that there's a word for that, burnout. I've been in burnout. So it's been awesome, but it's also been challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're definitely going to talk about that throughout our discussion today. But first, I want to talk about the topic of creativity. Like that's your thing. So how did you get into that?
Well, again, it was actually after another round of burnout. This is a second career for me in this industry, and I was in the tech industry prior, and I was in burnout there, and that was why I was able to actually, I had the opportunity to switch careers. And then I was in this field, again, maybe about 10 years in, and I was in burnout, and I thought, wait a minute, I'm in a career that I love. I went to school for this. I invested in this. I love what I do. I don't want to start over again. So what's the common denominator? Me, right? And when I'm in burnout, my creativity is at zero. That's when I'm doing like cookie cutter kitchens, which nobody wants, right? It's not going to really, sure, you can, sell the job, but is it going to get a repeat client? Is it going to win that award? So I started studying. I started reading. In fact, my favorite book was by Daniel Pink, Why the Right Brainers Are Going to Rule the Future, right? Which, is not all about right brain. Left brain people can be creative too. But that got me started on my journey of recovery and realizing how stuck I was. And then I just started gobbling up all these books, and I've got a whole book list. And then this was back at the beginning when NKBA was just offering the voices from the industry at KBIZ and giving a platform for members, talking to members with topics that we're passionate about. And so I thought, and I was sharing it like on these Facebook groups, some of my ideas and my thoughts, and everybody else was saying, yeah, me too. I'm so stuck. I'm in burnout. I'm stressed. How do I be creative in the middle of all of this, right? So I put it together and created a CEU that, boy, it's been 10 years now, and just did it recently for one of the NKBA webinars, and chapters. I get to go visit chapters, and I've been in burnout 2 or 3 times in this industry, and each time I have to go back to the basics. And lots that we can talk about. A big one, I'm overcommitting, right? Now I'm grateful to be busy right now. I'm grateful to have the clients that I have today, but how can I focus on what I'm better at and do less of what stresses me out, right? And how can I say no a little bit more often? But even beyond that, the flip side of that, the personal side is, how can I do something creative every day? How can I go garden, go color, go journal, go walk, go take photographs outside? Those are the things that help ground me and help reconnect me with right now. Everybody kind of thinks that, oh, I'm in burnout. That means I need to take a sabbatical, or I need to take a week-long vacation or a year-long vacation. We can recover from burnout in little tiny moments. Not everybody can go change everything to recover from burnout, and we don't need to. I think there's a lot of people out there that think we need to, and it's like, no, 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 no. Little tiny moments we can recover. And it's just practice, and I have to practice it and remind myself all the time as well. So many of us are sleep deprived. I know the last couple of years, my health has really suffered because I got out of balance. I stopped practicing what I know. I stopped practicing what I'm preaching. And it showed my health, my mental well-being, my emotional well-being. I was working 24/7, sleep, eat, and dream, cabinets and kitchen and bathrooms, right? And we can't survive like that. I couldn't survive like that.
So when you talk about, you've given us a couple of examples of what blocks your creativity, to the point where, you go into sleep deprivation and health concerns and things like that. But what are, outside of being able to take a sabbatical and some of those more dramatic, time consuming things, what are those little things that you do to kind of get that back?
It's going to be different for everyone. So here's kind of little things that I do. I have started to try my skill with plants, having a green thumb, and I've never been really good at it. And I'm looking at them right now. I actually have a couple orchids that I am keeping alive. One I think is going to bloom. I love the outdoors. For me, it's outside. It's just a walk around my community. I live near a beach in this downtown Seattle area across the bay. I live in a kind of a beach community, and I get to go walk by the beach and collect seashells, and it's just down the hill. I don't have to take the afternoon off. I can just take 30 minutes. I can walk down the hill. So I have to move my body. I need to sleep. I need the outdoors. I have a journal that I carry with me everywhere. Sometimes it's a to-do list. Sometimes it's doodling. I'm learning to try to sketch and doodle more often. Anything. I don't care what it is, anything. I need to get off my phone more often. I'm totally addicted to my phone. All the video clips, everything. I always have something on, and I need to just turn it off more often and just declutter my mind. A friend of mine, a mentor of mine, because once I did start getting unstuck again this last spring, it kind of peaked and it kind of became a real pain point for me. I'm like, okay, something has to change. Just starting to walk again and moving my body again, even 10 minutes, just to start moving and to start telling the universe, hey, I'm going to do something about this. I'm going to, and then 15 minutes, 30 minutes, now it's an hour. And I used to always have music on, which I love music and I love when I walk or podcasts. But my friend challenged me to walk or do some of these outdoor activities without music, without podcasts, without something always filling the space. And when I do that, and I'm a cyclist, I'm gearing up for a big bike ride this weekend, actually. It's Seattle to Portland, a century, 100 miles, 2 days in a row, 100 miles Saturday and 100 miles on Sunday. So I've been training and getting back into that. When I'm out there walking on the beach, exercising or on my bike and not filling my brain with with noise, my brain can unravel. I call it unraveling. My brain can unravel. I can get through the to-do list. It's all the left brain stuff. I can get through the to-do list. I can get through the what I should have said, what I'm supposed to be doing, let it unravel. And then it starts to calm down. And I see the bright colors of spring and the green trees and the seagulls, and walking in my community and connecting with people that I walk by, starting to feel grounded again. And then my brain thinks about, oh, this article I want to write. Oh, that bathroom design I was working on, I bet you that sink would be perfect. Um, that those creative juices can start flowing again when I get all the busy clutter out of my brain. So that's a new one. I'm beginning to try to have a little bit more silence. Even this morning, I had the news on. I'm like, why? Why not just sit with myself in a little bit of silence?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like putting on the news anymore because it's usually telling me something bad. But I do enjoy reading it. Like that's kind of like one of the first things I do in the morning. I get a newsletter and I read through what's going on, and it kind of shows me all that stuff. I can avoid some parts of it if I want to, or go into
Yeah.
others. And like
Yeah.
you said, with plants, that's definitely become something I'm totally interested in the last year and a half or so. Um, my dad's got a huge green thumb and all that good stuff. So, I'm not always totally successful with it, but it really brings me a lot of joy.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so I
Yeah.
mean, I guess for
Now,
you, go
and
ahead.
you also, I mean, let's see, you have it's a dog, oh, a cat, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, even having pets in our lives to help ground us, right? And what are some other things now? Like one of the first questions I ask when I do the Ignite Creativity seminar is, what do you do if, not just thinking about creativity, but what would you do if you had more time? What hobby would you start? What activity do you do if you had more time? And, you don't have to worry about money or time or anything else. And it's interesting the things that come up. What would come up for you?
For me, I mean, I have, I hate saying that there's something good that's come out of the pandemic, but for me, it is not having as many plans and obligations and things, so that I've actually become more comfortable sitting around my apartment by myself, reading or doing a puzzle. I'll binge watch a TV show here or there, but I have taken more time to do the things I like to do. I'm getting back into volunteering at pet shelters, and I've taken up Orange Theory workout
Yeah.
classes and things like that. So I guess I feel like right now I have enough time, except for, I guess one thing I was going to ask you about next is sometimes the work-life balance isn't working for me when I'm in my really, really busy times, where it's just kind of like, oh, wow, are you going to have any time to read a little bit later? Or like, is this weekend going to be spent on, all work and no play and things like that? So what do you do to maintain that balance?
Yeah. And those are all fantastic things that you just listed through. So much volunteering is community, connecting with other people, right? Reading, even just enjoying our spaces, especially if we have a space that we feel supports us and is cozy and happy. And I know that we all have learned a lot about our own spaces, right? And I think as creatives, and well, all of us, it's super important, our environment that we're in. Sleep, I have to have 8 hours of sleep. Otherwise, everything else falls apart. Carving out, I also clients and projects, everything seems urgent. Everything seems urgent that's on our plate, on our to-do list, right? Over the years, thanks to a few years in life, I have also learned that somebody's emergency doesn't have to be my emergency, and it's always going to work out the way it's supposed to. So when a client says they have to order something yesterday, almost every time, if I bend over backwards to get it done, there's another delay, and it didn't need to be done. Almost every time. So I'm not perfect at this. It is a work in progress. I always have to remind myself what my tools are. And this last couple years, I don't want to use the fail word, but I feel like I slipped. I had a backslide and I got way off balance, way off balance. How to get back into balance was, for me, physical movement. I had to move my body. And part of that was outside. I don't care if it's raining, I have rain gear, I have to get outside. And then it was just micro things that I would choose to do, like sleeping again and not being on Netflix till 1 a.m., right? Sleeping and getting up and getting into a routine. As a right brain individual working from home, routine is a challenge for me, but I function better in the world when I have a routine. Sleep routine, getting outside, moving my body, and like I said earlier too, even just micro moments. Reading my meditation book when I have coffee, not turning on the news, connecting with friends and family, text, phone, connecting with other people grounds me. Anything, and this is going to be different for everyone, but what grounds you? What grounds you and what does that mean? Grounds you. What does grounding you mean? What are we supposed to be feeling when we get grounded? Presence, feeling present right here, right now. Creativity can't happen when we're not present. I use the acronym HALT all the time, HALT, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And I'll stop and ask myself, am I hungry? Am I angry, or some other emotion, right? Stressed, anxious, in fear. Am I lonely? Do I need to feel connected to others? Am I feeling disconnected? And not just disconnected from others, but disconnected from myself. Tired, so HALT, hungry, angry, lonely, tired. And sometimes I'm all four, which is really bad news. And sometimes even if it's just one or two, I need to make an adjustment. So I'm not perfect at it. It's a work in progress, but those are the things that I will tap. My tools and meditation, I think I mentioned too, but meditation. And meditation doesn't have to be 20 minutes or 30 minutes. It can be 1 minute. It can just be little micro moments too. So
yeah, I guess for other professionals, just what you said, like find the things that you enjoy doing that ground you, that that you can be present for, those kinds of things,
Yeah. Okay, so now back to that question again, but maybe from that's kind of more from my personal perspective. Let's do a business perspective on that question, right? How do I maintain work-life balance from a business response? And how do I start mitigating and balancing out overcommitment and and burnout? I am learning to be an expert at prioritizing. There's a million, and I think all of us have, it seems like everything's a priority, right? Well, but it's not really. There's always one thing. There's always something that has, there's a deadline today. There's a deadline tomorrow morning. So I cannot exist without a to-do list. I have to have a to-do list, and it's on my phone, so it's always with me, so that anytime something is in my head that needs to be on paper or on that list, I get it on the list. if it's floating around in my head, I'm stressing about whether I'm going to forget it. Just write it down, and then I can let it go. It's captured. I can free my mind up to daydream, to be creative, right? So I'm becoming an expert at prioritizing. And on my phone, it's the Outlook to-do list, and it's on my phone too. And I number them, and sometimes it's arbitrary, and sometimes during the day they shift. But I always know there's a deadline today, or tomorrow morning, or this week. That's the first thing. And then I can think about other things. And then every day that list will shift. So prioritizing, because we really technically, multitasking is a myth, right? I can do 10 things halfway or one thing really good.
Right.
Yeah. And then I'm also having to get better at being honest with myself at what am I really good at, and what am I kind of so good at, and what do I really not enjoy. And how can I seek help or shift? That's one benefit about being so busy is I have more choices and opportunities now, and I have more, even the financial ability to hire a bookkeeper, work with an attorney to redo my contracts, work with a company to do my website and all of that, right? Um, hire a student, because I teach at a couple colleges here too, and hire a student to do my the renderings. Where can I outsource so that I can focus on what I love? And how can I shift my business model? I think I'm getting ahead on some other stuff that we were going to talk about, but being honest with ourselves. What am I good at? What am I not good at? Now, in this industry, we can't just do what we're good at and what we love, right?
No industry. Yeah.
Yeah, no industry, right? There's always a yin and a yang, right? There's always something that comes with it. So we just have to embrace it. There's always going to be, a fire, every other, or the administrative. But how can I seek support to do that? Yeah.
So yeah, in terms of projects and things like that, I'm sure part of burnout and lack of creativity is sometimes you have too many projects going on, or you have a project that you're not a match for, or the client's not a match. It's not working. So how do you say no to certain types of projects or number of projects? Like,
Yep.
how do you avoid those?
Yep. And that's a fantastic question, because for me, it's clients that are on a budget that now everybody's on a budget, no matter what level of their investment, everybody's on a budget. I've also noticed budgets have all kind of shifted down a category as well. I've always had this belief that everybody deserves good design. But part of my burnout has also come from trying to be all things to all people and offering design to clients with budgets that I'm really not capable of meeting.
Right.
And I'm having to pull up my big girl pants and like, okay, I just can't do this anymore. As much as I want to help, I can't, and be able to survive everything else that's going on. And honestly, my resources and the time and amount, the time that it takes, I just can't do them service. So I had to face it this last year with a bathroom on a budget that I knew I didn't have the resources for. And not that there aren't resources out there that they can accomplish it, but in my world, in my circle, I wasn't going to be able to do that. And I had to have the conversation with her, and just say, hey, can I give you some other resources? I really don't think I can help you. Um, she was grateful for my honesty and grateful for the other resources that I was able to give her. You know, she didn't want to waste time either.
Yeah, and
And
it sounds like you were
yeah,
able to help out even without, being the
yeah,
one. You
yep,
were able to help out anyway and make yourselves both happy.
yep, exactly. Exactly. Oh, and that reminds me, on one of these fantastic Facebook industry groups, somebody, I don't know who it was, and I'm paraphrasing it, but somebody said, um, seeking or attracting clients that are driven by design versus driven by budget. I was like, whoa, yeah. And I also believe in the universe, like attracts like. It's like, what can I do to attract clients that are driven by design versus driven by budget? I'm also that kind of goes hand in hand with a business thing that I'm working on right now with working with somebody with my website, redoing my website and my online presence. How can, like, if that's the first step, that's what they see first, how can that set the stage to really attract clients that are driven by design, and less driven by budget? So that's something I'm working on right now. But that statement, that phrase, um, I've also listened to a couple coaches this last year. I haven't hired one yet, but I've been getting bits and pieces from different industry, resources and online. And I met one, Melissa Galt, at Design Edge here in Seattle, and I'm really have been challenged to really change my business model. So I raised my rates twice this year, which was really hard. And I still kind of have a ceiling where I'm having a hard time out, like at hourly, I'm having a hard time with myself breaking that ceiling. Um, and then shifting my business model to more of a flat fee system instead of an hourly system, because this is something else I'm really trying to do to recover from burnout as well. Simplifying my life, business and personal. How can I simplify my life? I've been doing this going on 20, next year will be 25 years. I've been doing this long enough. Tracking my hours, tracking my time. I I I hate using the word hate, but I hate it. And I'm done. I am done. And that's a big leap for me. And I've been hearing about the flat fee system for the last couple of years. And initially I thought, no, 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 I can't do it. I can't do it. I can't do it. I'm there. I'm finally making that shift. And that's going to look different. That's a whole other different topic, and that's going to look different for every business. But I'm kind of customizing that and making that work for me. And I think that's really going to help. It's just, that's going to help.
Well, I'm going to close out our conversation with one more question or discussion point. And I know we've heard this, and it's kind of different for obviously what kind of job and industries and things like that. But we're always hearing about working smarter and not harder. Mm-hmm. What does that mean for you?
Mm-hmm. Some of that we've touched on a lot already. Like with my website, how can I make that work harder for me, right? How can I have that help pre-qualify the clients who do find me? And I've always kind of done the DIY websites, and I realized that's hurting me rather than helping me now. So that's a big one for me. Hiring a bookkeeper and doing some of those things. Making these shifts like we just kind of touched on with my hourly rate and business model, flat fee. I also sometimes a lot of it is just confidence in ourselves and knowing I know what I'm doing by now, right? I'm not having to reinvent the wheel every time and really trusting that and just knowing, we also need to guide the process with our clients and not I think sometimes we slip back into letting them run the show. And if I can be a leader with my client, it's also going to save a lot of time as well, rather than just asking, what are all your ideas? They're hiring you for a reason, right? They're hiring you because you're the expert, so be the expert. And finding those little places in my life where I can simplify my life, whether that's on a personal level, like not, whether it's clothes, or I was just thinking of one this morning. Um, oh, my jewelry. I know this is silly, but my jewelry, simplifying my life. I kind of have all my birthstones now instead of all this, multitude of jewelry and whatnot. And I'm doing that with my business too, streamlining my resources, my connections, um, and processes. So I'm not reinventing the wheel every time. Because life is really too short. And we are all in this business because we love it. And I want to keep loving it. I want to keep loving it. And we can. We can.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for sharing all this. I know it's a timely topic for everybody in the industry now. Again, whether they're really busy or not as busy or burnout or full of creativity, this is a great discussion on, being able to tap into that kind of thing when people are really at a loss. So thank you so much for that. I know everybody listening in is got an earful of tips at this point. So
Well, thank you. I hope so. We all learn from each other too. So keep sharing on those groups. Don't be a secret. Be honest with each other. We can all help and support each other. And thank you, Chelsea, for the opportunity to have this great conversation.